During the week, Mr. Lee Hull, a man who dedicated a big part of his life to this great game of softball, said his final goodbyes. He was a big part of these broadcasts from day number one. Now, normally at this stage of the broadcast, we would hear a prediction from Lee. He would probably be right. He would tell us a player he's looking forward to watch, crack a joke, and spill out a few silly nicknames, probably about the umpires. He'd tell us that he's feeling 1,000. Well, we can't do that today, but what we can do is something that Lee would have loved. Watch a game of softball and watch it together. Us here in the Lee Hull broadcast booth, you at home, and everyone at the Diamond together. Someone is going to win today, someone is going to lose. Heck, Lee might have even predicted a tie. But honestly, it doesn't matter. So let's enjoy the sport that Lee loved so much as a community. A quick moment of silence for the great Lee Hull. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a new CMAX Premier League softball season. And in lieu of talking about sort of the game notes today, and we'll talk about it, of course, as the game goes in, I bring in the other half of the commentary team today, another one of the original members, James Harris. James, how you feeling today?
It's a bit weird, Eric. We've just come off the back of a huge week for Australian Masters games, and then just like that, in a blink of an eye, we're starting the 2023-24 CMAX Premier League season. It is a pleasure to be here with you today, Eric, and thanks for being here and helping me to call what might be a bit of an emotional call today as we honour our great friend Lee Hull, who passed away just a couple of days ago, and we get an opportunity to remember him.
Well, you know what, James? I'm feeling about 1,000 today, so I'm ready. I'm ready to call this game. I'm really looking forward to it. But I know that you've known Lee for a large chunk of your life, maybe 10% of Lee's life in total or so. But when did you first meet Lee Hull? When did you come across him?
Just a 15-year-old kid trying out for my first state team, and not long after that I was selected, and Lee, like many others, became my first state coach. And it was my first ever flight that I went on, and we went over to Perth in Mirrabooka, and although it was a bit of an intense and knowledgeable build up to the tournament, as soon as we stepped foot off the team bus, which he drove, mind you, in Mirrabooka, we knew we were in good hands because he knew everyone, opposition coaches, opposition players, the tournament officials, and it was that point when you were in great hands.
We'll get to more of that story in a second, but we're going to join the players on field for a moment of silence for Lee Hull.
Damien McCauley, Softball Australia Hall of Famer, just saying a few words before the moment of silence.
You see the black armbands around all of the players' arms today. That's in honor of Lee Hull, who really did probably have a direct impact on almost every single one of the players on the field today. In fact, he was here calling the game just a few months ago when these teams met in the grand final and then presented the season end awards and the premiership medals at the end of the game. And it was only, what, 5-6 months ago?
Yeah, couldn't keep him away from this place, even though he suffered an illness earlier in the year and he had some time off. As soon as he got the all clear, he was out here calling, and just a couple of weeks ago made himself available for every game this season. He said, whenever you need me, he said. And part of the Port Adelaide club as well as a former A-grade coach, and no doubt he would have had some role with West Torrens along the way as well. He did play a part of many clubs.
Well, we'll take a quick look at the batting lineup for West Torrens. They'll bat first. Jordan Harris, Amber Hood, Lana Kaysler, Danny Baxsky, Emma Burridge, Alicia Marchink, Brody Borubnik, Harper Bridley, and Jackie Beal. No debutantes for the club, but there's a few key, I guess, omissions or people that are not part of the roster on opening day, and a few people coming back to the roster as well.
Yeah, Steph Trzynski and Kelsey Nucky from the premiership side from last year are not in the lineup today.
Sophie Hoyle.
Sophie Hoyle as well, yep, so there you go. So 3 premiership starters, but you look at this lineup and Harper Bridley's actually going to have the bat in hand in this game. Emma Burridge returns to the lineup as well. So for what they've lost, they've also got some pretty good replacements.
Starting pitcher today for Port Adelaide is Liz Angler. We're familiar with her. She was part of the premiership team that the Magpies won a couple years ago. She is an American that's been living in Germany as she's played Div 1. A great prolific career over in Europe. She's back in South Australia for the summer. Her partner plays baseball. That's the connection here as well. So don't be fooled by the 36 that says Callahan on the back of the jersey. Liz Angler, I can assure you that's her.
Yeah, she'll play the season, and yeah, she played in the European Cup just recently and was a hitter. So watch for her in the lineup for Port Adelaide as well.
Jordan Harris swings at a pitch and knocks it foul. Well, Jordan Harris was a huge inclusion on the side from, well, 2 years ago. She was, she's doing something pretty significant in both of your lives, I would say. But she's becoming a mom, and last year back in the lineup and was a huge impact player, especially down the stretch in the finals run.
Yeah, like riding a bike for George. She hit plus 400. She made the tournament team or the team of the year and premiership co-captain with the club.
A bit of a drought-breaking championship for the Eagles last year. She takes a pitch inside. They've been banging on the door for so long.
Yeah, 6 grand final appearances without a win, but the 16th premiership for the club last season.
Yeah, they're not a stranger to the high-performance section of the CMAX Premier League. And she bashes one up the middle, and yeah, repeat of earlier message, Jordan Harris has a hit at the leadoff position. Heard that one before?
Yeah, it's not an uncommon commentary call. Jordan Harris there on the CMAX replay, and we thank CMAX for their support for the 23-24 season, returning major broadcast partner. And if you want to help advance tomorrow's healthcare today, log on to cmax.com.au. We'll hear way more about CMAX throughout the season.
Amber Hood steps up to bat, shows the bunt. You got to be careful. You've got Jordan Harris with some serious wheels over on first base, and Amber Hood is as good as any player in the competition at getting on base. Take a look at all the stat sheets from all of the work that our great statisticians do in this state, and you see Amber Hood's name right up there in the walk leaders, hit leaders almost every single year. It's sort of a luxury that West Torrens have Harris and Hood at the top of the lineup.
Yeah, well, both prolific on-base getters, and Amber will watch and watch and watch all day long. She was one of the league leaders in walks last year, and she goes to a 3-0 count here. Jordan
Harris can score from first on a ball hit, well, I mean, anywhere out of the infield. That's how fast that she has the potential to be.
Amber might watch a couple here as she's gone to a 3-0. And always good to see some pitches early in the season. And Liz Angler actually started off pretty good. She went 0-2 against Harris, and since then it's been all West Torrens.
Yeah, and Harris didn't get all of it, but it was just a nice little drive up the middle, dribbles to the outfield, and a dangerous base runner is aboard.
Well, what's dangerous is the next couple of hitters in the lineup as well. Lana Kaysler on deck circle, and you're only as good as your last at-bat, aren't you?
Full count.
I'm alluding to the home run in the 6th inning for West Torrens.
And we'll meet her very soon. Lana Kaesler standing on deck. And Engler battles back. She fell behind 3-0, but she dials it in with 3 straight strikes. And Amber Hood will pass on some information to the woman of the grand final last year in Lana Kaesler.
Let's look at the CMAX replay. A huge comeback from Engler. She may have taken a little off that one as we saw it dip through the zone, and that just buckled Amber Hood there. So great pitching from Engler, and now that might settle some early nerves for the Magpies.
Lana delivered an iconic performance in March at that grand final.
Yeah, it was the 6th inning that belonged to Kaesler. Defensively, at the top of the inning, she denied Jess Maslin. It was the hardest hit ball for Port Adelaide all night, and she got off the ground and took a catch that would have gone to the fence in the alley, which meant extra bases, potentially putting a runner in scoring position or scoring one. And then at the bottom half of that inning, after Amber Hood walked, drove in that 2-run shot to win them their premiership.
Swing and a miss. She also had the iconic performance in the Gillies Shield a couple tournaments ago that broke that long South Australian drought. So, and when it's all said and done on Lana's career, there will be no doubts about her performance at the biggest of moments.
Yeah, absolute. Great player to have in a clutch situation.
Hard hit ball over to third. Charlize Callahan zips it across the diamond and gets one. Let's go around the diamond right now with Port Adelaide.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. Liz Engler will be pitching, or is pitching, to Jess Maslin. McKenna Smith is wearing the Grauer uniform over at first base, so some news there. Montana Edwards, a returning player for Port Adelaide, at second. Charlize Callahan at third. Jess Neves at short. And I've been waiting for a while to say this one. On the green grass that's been mown, Zoe Thompson at left, Bianca Ramsey at centre, and Chloe Davis at right. I'm starting to choke up. Just saying one of a Leeism right there.
This isn't going to be the finished product of these Port Adelaide Magpies. The big news for them, though, is losing one of their heart and souls of the club of the last few years, and someone that helped deliver a premiership to them in Yo Grauer. As this ball driven hard by Danny Backsky out to center field, and that will be all she wrote in the top of the first inning for West Torrens. But we're going to talk about the Port Adelaide batting lineup, but this isn't the full roster. They've got 2 imports coming in, including, I've heard she's okay.
Last year's Cath Coral medalist.
And I'm told Jess Golden has been quite insistent that the other import that she's bringing along is better than her.
Yeah, that's a handy pickup as well. So Ben Lucas and the coaching staff at Port Adelaide will be happy with that, seeing as that they lost the likes of Grau, who will be playing for the Glenelg Rebels part-time this year. But in a move over to Glenelg, they had a bit of a hole to fill. But, you know, I'd expect the likes of Gemma Letton to be back in this lineup pretty soon as well. So some handy players to come back into the side.
Bit of a different look than Port Adelaide from what we've been used to in that regular 9. Obviously, no Charlize Callahan, Callahan's in. No Taylor Chillingworth, in the lineup. No
Georgia Bird.
No Georgia Bird.
Yep.
No Yo Grauer. And no Gemma Letton in this edition of the lineup. So it's Callahan, Neves, Edwards, Maslin, Smith, Ramsey, Engler, Davis, and Thompson. Still some nice young talent, though, coming through in this club. We're going to get a chance to see how they can do in producing and retaining some of those depth players, these Port Adelaide Magpies, in this new era.
Yeah, some big off seasons for a couple of these players. Charlize Callahan went and played for a Canadian team at the Canada Cup. Zoe Thompson was playing for the Aussie youth team at that same tournament. Chloe Davis made an Aussie squad as well. A couple of them in the schoolgirls teams. The return of Montana Edwards. She was going to be the next big thing. Got a little bit of an illness that just kept her out of the game annoyingly for a couple of seasons, and great to see her return. So, yeah, they've got some good leaders as well in that team, Neves and Bianca Ramsey. So, you know, although they've lost a couple of key players, I think this lineup's still going to challenge any of the teams in the competition.
And Ben Lucas, since he's been at the helm in the last couple years, has really made sure that Port Adelaide are always in a position to succeed when it matters the most. It was no different last year. They've reached that final game a couple years in a row, Port Adelaide.
Yeah, it was their first grand final 2 seasons ago, which they won. So that was the first premiership for their club, and then they backed it up 2 years in a row, made the grand final, and well,
they got Trzynski'd.
Yeah, well, they got Kaysler'd in the end. Although Trzynski through the complete game shutout, yeah, they really took it to every team in that run home to the finals.
Charlize Callahan leads things off. Harper Bridley pitching. And Bridley started last season, who we sort of expected to be the starting pitcher for West Torrens for most of the year. Steph Trzynski ended up returning from Japan, and they split duties in the second half of the year. But it wasn't really a knock on Harper's efforts.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago. She really took the opportunity to be the team's first pitcher, and Trzynski returning from Japan a little earlier than planned. Credit to West Torrens coaching staff. They promised Bridley a starting spot, and she got a fair amount of innings. I think they were going game for game there for a little while, and you know, I'm pretty sure that
smacked over towards left field. It drops right in front of Brody Borovnik in left, and it's a leadoff hit for Charlize Callahan, much like Jordan Harris, who had the leadoff hit for West Torrens when they were batting.
Yeah, can't do any ask more than that from a leadoff to get the team off and running, and Callahan really taking this opportunity to be up at the top of the order as well, with the omission of a couple of those players that we mentioned earlier.
Jess Neves stepping in the second spot in the lineup. It's a tough West Torrens defense. It always has been, but a couple different alterations to the lineup will be interesting. We'll get James after this pitch to go through the defensive alignment of the West Torrens Eagles as Bridley deals the pitch. Fouled back.
Yeah, Bridley pitching to Amber Hood, Danny Baskai at first, Emma Burridge, returning player at second, Lana Kaysler at third, Jordan Harris at short, Brody Borovnik, Alicia Marcheng, and Jackie Beale are the 3 outfielders left to right.
Kaysler, Harris, and Burridge have played a lot in that position from second, short, and third. The big one here, and it's nothing against Danny Baskai, is that Kelsey Nucky has been at first base for so long and has been one of the best in the competition, being able with great range and glove work to bring in all of that defensive work that they might throw across the diamond. It's different at first base, isn't it?
Yeah, very reliable player that West Torrens would have just lent on all throughout that era that she played. I can tell you, going back the records as far as I could, back to 1996, she has more Team of the Year first base accolades than any other first baser. So, you know, she's just an anchor there at first base that they can rely on as that infield changes around. With Harris off with pregnancy, Burridge into state, you know, Kaysler able to go to shortstop, bring in Sophie Hoyle. You know, they're just so versatile, that Eagles infield, but this is one position they've never had to change.
Until now. Flared out into the foul territory. And you're right, that value of first base is so important for that trust factor, especially when you outline those changes in the infield. Sometimes it's a matter of just wanting to throw it in the area and hope that your first basewoman can bring in that ball, which is what Kelsey did for so many years. Neves rolls one foul. Well, Kaysler having to get it on the backhand.
Yeah, good experience though, coming in to replace her at first is Danny Baskai, former Queensland state representative, and made her way over to Adelaide a few years back, and rival brother Roasters owner-operator as well, so some great coffee. You can get it down here at the ballpark. And yeah, but what concerns me, she uses that outfielder's glove for a first baser's glove. Maybe she'll make a change. She told me that her mother bought her that. It's been her first and only glove she's ever owned.
Good job from Harper Bridley to battle back. That's a strikeout for her first one of the season.
Well, that is a repeat of the earlier message. That's exactly how West Torrens got off to a start. A single and then a KC.
Well, here is Montana Edwards. James, that was someone who you really circled in that lineup when they were given to us earlier this afternoon.
She was such a great junior player, and as she was breaking through and into the senior grades, we lost her, but it's so good to see her back from the sport. She's got a really good swing, a good eye as well. She made a bit of a name for herself with Glenelg, and they played in the year they played in the grand final. I'm pretty sure she was there.
Ground ball over to Kaesler, scoops, fires, and repeat of earlier message, because this game for both teams has gone leadoff single, strikeout looking, and a ground out to third.
Never seen that before.
This is bizarre.
Some strange things going on.
So can we lock in Jess Maslin flying out to center field?
You know what? If you got to pick a batter to fly out to center field, it might be Jess, but she's got the capability of putting over center field as well.
Big power from Maslin over the last, well, forever she's played. Made the move to Port Adelaide. This is her third season over as a Magpie. Seacombe temporarily had their program disappear from the Division I ranks. It's back in the CMAX Premier League, but Maslin has remained at Port Adelaide, and she's won a premiership here. She hasn't not gone to a grand final since she's been at Port Adelaide.
I'll give you an interesting stat, and thanks to Lindy Radigan and her team of statisticians who provide us with the stats each and every year. And hello to Marcy and Julie who join us to our left. Jess Maslin absolutely robbed of a Team of the Year gig last year. Only one of 3 batters to bat over 500 for the season, and she missed out, unfortunately. But a bit of a utility player, so maybe the coaches didn't see her in any one specific position. And rightly so, hits in the 4th spot for Port Adelaide.
And her danger's really going to increase when Jess Golden gets back and they can just sandwich them together and offer protection for each other. You see that powerful swing. She'll probably slot out to left field. Golden back at catching. Maslin was sort of joking about that pregame when she was catching some warm-up pitches from Liz Engler, saying, thank goodness I'm not here for long. But she's a catcher by trade, Jess Maslin. She's
ever reliable in so many positions. A true utility.
Well, we've seen her play first base before. We've seen her at third. We've seen her at left. We've seen her at catcher, all in sort of big games.
Yep. Yeah, I think that probably rounds it out, her key positions there. But change of sport, isn't she a pitcher in baseball?
She can pitch in baseball. She plays third base in baseball, DH in baseball, goes out in the outfield. She's the same in sort of the one that you just know that wherever you put her, you're going to get performance. And a swing and a miss. So Harper Bridley gets 2 strikeouts after allowing a leadoff pitch. And this is truly shaping up like a tussle between the 2 grand finalists of the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's a big swing and a miss. Bridley has hit the spot there on the CMAX replay. So great start from both teams, getting a runner on base. But then defensively, you know, that's why these 2 teams have been in the top half, or the top 2 teams of the last 2 years, because they can get it done defensively.
Well, James, great to be back down here at the ballpark. I loved walking in. And what I love about coming to the field is that community spirit. Everybody here is volunteering their time in the name of the sport. Everyone from you and I, who have the easy job of calling the game, to the people in the canteen, to getting the ground set up at their clubs themselves. And that was something that Lee, I think, really did pride himself on, was his service to the sport.
Service to the sport. The man became a legend after a tick shy of 50 years of service. He started in 1978, recruited by Softball SA Life member and Hall of Famer Tula Connolly to coach the Ingle Farm Club in the Central Districts Association. And it wasn't before long that he's part of the Softball SA programs, a senior instructor of primary schools program that he held for 8 years, and really in the school programs where he really started to develop his coaching legend status, in that he was the state schoolgirls coach. He went to Aussie Sports Expos, Indigenous softball program camps, talent ID recruitment, inclusive softball programs for Minder homes, and also he worked with West Torrens head coach Terry Lamery at Sassy with the high performance programs. But it wasn't just as a coach that he gave back, and you know, we could probably talk all day about the volunteer service that he gave back too.
Leading things off in the inning is
Emma Burridge.
The big return of Emma Burridge back in the lineup.
Yeah, he received the highest recognition of the contribution made by any person at the state association level, and that is life membership back in 2019, if memory serves me correctly. And he was also Volunteer of the Year back in 2016 for a he had a massive year. There's a long list of things that he did for our sport in that year. He was Master of Ceremonies for a bunch of our events, including opening and closing ceremonies, Australian Masters Games, Pacific School Games. John Reed Shield we hosted that year as well.
Slashed over to the right field. Is it going to stay fair? It'll drip foul.
But also his time spent on the state teams committee as well. And, you know, he'd help out with the grounds, and he was Johnny everywhere, really. And that was the year that we started our broadcasting as well with Spacequake Sports. So it was a massive year for Lee.
Swing and a miss. Liz Engler with her second strikeout of the game. She had that leadoff single, and then she had 3 straight balls to Amber Hood. But since then, strikeout, ground out, fly out, strikeout. So here in the CMAX Premier League season, Liz Engler making an early impact. Yeah, I remember Lee as Alicia Marchink coming up to bat. I remember him very well when he was winning that Volunteer of the Year award at the end of year function.
Yep. At the awards
he was
night.
One proud guy.
Well, the weird thing was we had to get him off the mic because he normally would MC those events as well. And
it was weird, right?
Yeah, and so we told him, look, you got to be a guest tonight. You know, we want you to sit there front and center. And I think this one goes foul. I think he may have actually taken offense slightly that he wasn't asked to be MC.
It was like it shouldn't have been really a surprise, and like all the signs were there, but either he was a good actor or he was actually surprised.
Another foul. Yep, the guy that took over he was only there for 1 year, but he was a bit of a part-time comedian, and I think Lee even said that he had better jokes than him. So yeah, not to be outdone, we saw him back on the mic again pretty soon after that. We always would get him to present an award at that night, but always great to have him along as a guest.
Alicia Marchink trying to battle away here. A couple strikes against her. Swing and a miss. Liz Engler. She is grooving right now. I think we'll get a look at this pitch on the CMAX replay.
She's really shown that she's got an off-speed weapon here. This one comes through.
It just falls off a cliff.
Yeah, it's a nice pitch from Engler.
As a batter, when you're standing in there, is Brody Borovnik. Comes up to bat. Now, Brody was very close to Lee Hull. The whole Borovnik family was. I know she was excited to get back on the field and just play today.
Yeah, very close to a lot of people, actually, Lee Hull, but one of the families extremely close was the Borovniks.
She's behind 0-2. Liz Engler looking to strike out the side. Drives one up high. You saw Maslin try to finesse it a little bit behind the plate. They tried to sell the call. Nobody bought.
Yeah, she's been doing well, getting in front of the count here, Engler.
And there it is. She strikes out the side. She's got that ball dancing right now, Liz Engler. 4 strikeouts and no runs allowed so far. And that will sit down the side. You see, look at the CMAX replay again.
I reckon Coach Lamory may have picked that up as well. She'll have a word to her batting lineup when they come in after this defensive inning, just to say, you know, you can either sit on it knowing that she can throw it for a 3rd strike, but it's a dangerous game to play because Engler's got a bit of pace as well, so it might muck up your timing. So might be better to get after her earlier in the count.
We know the Borovniks were close with Lee. A lot of people were close with Lee, but I know it was really cool to see all the outpouring of love and support. And I know that his kids, Hannah, Sophie, and Josh, they all, I know, really have appreciated seeing all the messages online, all the messages they've received, everything that they've seen across, and people sharing stories of Lee and the posts or the comments, the photos, whatever form that may be. I think they can safely know how much of an impact that their dad had on not just them, but also on the whole community that that he was part of. And that's what I mean, I'm going to miss him sitting here in between games and telling us proudly some softball results of his grandkids playing all the way up north and everything in between. So just wanted to acknowledge his kids, his grandkids. I think they all really have appreciated seeing all those messages.
So proud of both his kids and his grandkids. He would often tell stories about how proud he was and what they were doing next. Jackson, his grandson, just got named in the state under-14 boys team. So the whole legacy for state representation lives on.
Harper Bridley back in the circle.
This is the first time seeing this player, McKenna Smith.
And a big spot for her to be in, sitting in the middle of the lineup. She's wearing Grauer's number and in Grauer's batting position somewhere at the 4 or 5 spot.
Yeah.
But this will be the part of the lineup where the Magpies need to show something. Is this up the middle? It's a hard hit ball. And as I say that ball's then thrown away, and McKenna Smith was thinking about stretching it. She's got to get back to first. A little bit of early season bumbles across the board on that play.
It was a funny play, wasn't it? I've got some work to do. I haven't done any research on McKenna Smith, but we see that ball got up the middle, and Harris on that bounce just got handcuffed a little. Emma Burridge thought about throwing it and then threw it late, a little bit of an overthrow. Then Smith looked for the extra base. Let's have a look here at another view on the CMAX replay. So, yeah, maybe a little bit of first game nerves still out there.
You want to see, we know what we're going to get from Callahan, Neves, Edwards, and Maslin in that top 4, but it's that bottom 5 in the lineup. Someone at some point, if Port Adelaide are going to win this game, are going to need to make an impact on this contest.
Well, we've said it for years and years, haven't we? The bottom half of the lineup, whoever's team performs best in the bottom half of the lineup usually wins, don't they?
Well, I know this was one of Lee's favorite players to watch in Bianca Ramsey. Always like to comment on how much sneaky power that she had in driving the balls.
Go back to Walkerville's premiership a few years back. She popped up for a couple of hits. An unlikely hero. Bit more experience now and still only early 20s.
And she plays baseball at Sturt, which is significant to Lee because Lee would actually go every Sunday and watch the Sturt women's team go and play. It wasn't too far from his house. And Bianca Ramsey, a key part of that Sturt program as well. So he's just a big fan of the Ramsey name, I think.
Well, big fan of sport. He used to love his basketball and softball. He kept a close eye on the footy as well.
So a 3-1 count to Harper Bridley, who's been battling in the counts a little bit, but effective so far. Jammed over to first. This could be 2. They'll make the first play. It was Baskai scooping it up, getting the lead runner, so it'll go down as a fielder's choice.
Let's have a look at the CMAX replay. Great play from Baskai. She made the right move, and in her first play as a first base player, just shortened the arm on the throw, but a great backhand pick up. Harris keeps the foot on the plate, on the base, and makes the force out.
Liz Engler up to bat.
It fascinates me. She's batting 7 in the lineup for Port Adelaide, but she's probably had the best pre-season out of anyone on this diamond in that she played in Europe this year, played in the European Cup.
NCAA veteran.
Yeah, and she played that European Cup as a hitter. So
she's got huge numbers everywhere she's gone, except for one place with the bat.
Yeah, we don't need to dwell on her numbers from the one season she played here, but she was part of the premiership team, so let's leave it at that.
And played big first base during that premiership. But the point is that I think that was a bit of an anomaly, a bit of an outlier in her body of work, so I'm expecting some big things from Liz Engler with the bat this year.
Well, we know she can do it, and she's got a good swing. That was just a check swing, but if she plays a full season, you watch for her name up the top of the numbers for Port Adelaide this season. There's my early prediction for the year.
I don't mind that at all. Couple strikes on her, though, for Harper Bridley. Swing and a miss, so Bridley with her third strikeout. Both Engler and Bridley going toe-to-toe right now, each allowing just that one hit so far. Few strikeouts.
Yeah, here's the CMAX replay. She kept it low, and Engler got a taste of her own medicine there, I think, on a little bit of an off-speed pitch.
Chloe Davis up to bat.
Junior state representative.
Is it advantage pitcher or hitter in that first game of a season or early season in your experience, James, coming out of that preseason after not playing for 5-6 months?
Well, for me, there is no better preparation for a season than to get some at-bats in. And you know, the pitchers are rolling over every week, but the batters might not be seeing it from the hand. They're definitely not seeing it on the dirt. So it's a different backdrop. It's a different feel. Whereas the pitchers, just pitching off a plate. Just go for it. Pitch it to the spot. So I think advantage pitcher for the first game of the year.
Especially when you're a batter, you seem to get better as the season goes on. When you get a little bit more data, if you can get in a groove, you can start to feel out what the pitcher's throwing in that season.
Timeout called from catcher Amber Hood. Just on that point, this was the first year we hadn't run a fully loaded or preseason competition in a little while. And, you know, that might be telling for some of the players. But, you know, that was a program set up for the state team representatives. So it wasn't every player in every team that were getting those at-bats. But, yeah, maybe everyone starts from a clean slate this year. Don't know if any clubs had organised any preseason games. No words come through or past my desk.
I'm sure there's been some inter-squad games, but it's not really the same. Oh, 2 base runners on now as Chloe Davis is aboard. And Zoe Thompson with 2 outs and 2 runners on in a scoreless game. Remember, this is a 90-minute game, and we're already half an hour into the game. Zoe Thompson, who's sort of making a name for herself, has a chance to say, I'm here right now.
Yep, speedy. See her in the left-handed batter's box, a natural right-hander. So the runners on first and second.
First time there's been that runner in scoring position in this game. It's Bianca Ramsey at second, too, who's a bit of an athlete as well.
We did see Charlize Callahan get to third on a pass ball in the bottom half of the first
you're
inning.
right.
9-hitter Thompson. Has been in and out of the A-grade lineup for Port Adelaide, but still just a teenager.
And starting to get some national recognition, too.
Yeah, and part of that state schoolgirls team that won the national title earlier this year in May, I think.
Pitch up high, so good watching from Zoe Thompson. Still looking for the first run of the CMAX Premier League season. Again, holds off a pitch, so a good hitter's count here for Thompson.
Yeah, well, first walk of the ball game saw Chloe Davis make her way up to first. Another walk here would load the bases and go back to the top of the lineup for Callahan.
Swing and a miss. That was a good pitch from Harper Bridley. Had that drop on it at the last second, so full count. Runners in scoring position. Scoreless game so far. Big pitch coming up here. Look at the CMAX replay. Full count. It's in the dirt. Runner will hold at third, but the bases are juiced. 2 walks.
Yeah, watch
error.
this one get away from Amber Hood as well. So the threat was there. She was quickly on it. It's the difference there for a catcher that is quick on the pass ball, denying Port Adelaide that chance to maybe sneak one home. But I think they're in good hands here with Callahan. Already has a hit in this game.
And she has been known for her big moments, Charlize Callahan.
Yeah, player of the final in their premiership winning year.
Now, I know this is game number 1 of the season, but the margins between the top clubs over the last few years have been so razor thin. I know teams aren't at full strength right now, but when you have these 2 top teams playing, these games could make a big difference at the end of the year.
Yeah.
In the dirt, it's a pass. Oh, and there you talk about that as a catcher, James. That's the position that you play. I mean, how do you find that ball so quickly at your feet? Because that would have just saved a run from Amber Hood if she doesn't find it quick enough.
Played. The top catchers have a sense for where the ball goes from the feel, how it comes off the body, how it comes off the glove. You've got to keep your eye on it the whole time. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a broken thumb or a bruise.
So the tying run is there, and it's going to be knocked up the middle of the diamond. It's a tricky play. Neves moving on across the diamond. Got her!
Just in time, Neves comes in, takes a tricky bounce, fires it across to first, and wow, the Magpies, just like that, I think it was within 3 pitches. They had 2 runners in scoring position with 2 out, and then a great play from Neves.
That was 2 of Lee's favorite players getting in the action. Brody Borovnik slashing one down the line, getting 2 in scoring position. And Lee had a soft spot for Jess Neves, didn't he? And Jess Neves had to make a tremendous play to charge on and get that play across the diamond.
Yeah, huge play from their starting shortstop today. Filling the boots of the San Jose collegiate athlete in Taylor Chillingworth, who was watching. I managed to, someone showed me who was watching online, and she was one of them, cheering on her team from over in the States, California.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, James, can you run through me right now? What South Australians do we have overseas playing a bit of ball?
Sophie Roberts and Steph Drzezinski played in the Italian League. They're both back in Adelaide now, so hoping to see them both back on the diamond fairly soon. But you got your collegiate players in Georgia Hood, who's changed schools this year. Hayley Benithan's changed schools. Then you've got, well, as mentioned, Taylor Chillingworth making her collegiate debut along with the likes of Michaela Yankovic and also Georgia Burr from Port Adelaide. And then Abby Jorgensen as well. Who else is over there? Millie Fidge is over at Hawaii in her 2nd year. Cara Schulz is still over there.
That's a lineup.
Yeah, it is.
Maddie Scott.
Maddie Scott, yeah, how can I forget, at East Kentucky. And then you've also got Poppy Carmen and Georgia Ballard have come back from their short stint as well.
I mean, Chloe Davis up to bat right now, but there was a time, James, when I asked you that question and it was a lot easier to answer.
Yeah, just the stock of South Australian players. I know that there's probably more out there, and I apologise if I've left you out. We need Jay Jensen to come back with the softball shout-out.
So a 3-1 game right now here in the bottom of the 4th. All the runs were scored in that big, what, 3rd inning?
3rd inning.
Knocked down the right side. It's a dribbler down the line and a base hit.
How are all the new players for Port Adelaide repping the big names from last year? We've got Callahan on the pitching circle. We've got Chillingworth playing right field and now standing on first base, and Grauer playing first base defensively. That's all the playing. Don't be fooled by the
name. It tricked me too. But Chloe Davis down.
Well, they're cousins.
Yeah, are they really?
They're cousins, yeah.
Well, there you go. So Chloe Davis standing on first base. Zoe Thompson now up to bat. She had an opportunity earlier in the game. She had runners in scoring position. She worked a walk, but the 2nd inning was the first pressure point of the game. Bases loaded for Port Adelaide. They couldn't come through with a hit, and then West Torrens with 2 outs. Amber Hood knocks one to opposite field. Harris scores from first, a 1-0 game, and then Jess Maslin throwing down the hammer in the 3rd inning. Montana Edwards, she did have a triple, which scored the first run of the game, and then Maslin a 2-run shot. Couple nice defensive plays, including a double play to stop more runs scoring from West Torrens. Jess Neves made a huge play to stop a run from scoring the last inning, and now we're at a 3-1 game as we've entered the last 25 minutes or so of the first contest of the CMAX Premier League season.
Yeah, great recap, Eric. You mentioned Montana. Montana tied the game up with her RBI. and that was big. That was big to tie up the ball game. It was huge from Maslin. So it was a hit deep centre field.
What Port Adelaide have done now in all 4 innings is get the leadoff runner aboard.
Yeah, well, I mentioned it earlier in the game, Eric. You can't ask for more than the leadoff for an inning or for the game to get on base. Port Adelaide had done that 4 times. I could be correct if I'm wrong. I think Chloe Davis played at the Hills Heat maybe for 1 or 2 games last year. So
good strikeout there from Harper Bridley, 1 down.
So some Premier League experience, but definitely a first A-grade start for Port Adelaide. Yeah, back to the top of the order, and Charlize Callahan, that's strikeout number 5 for Bridley.
Just that little blip with the 2, 3, 4 batters who are lurking right now. I think this is a huge out to get it. Charlize Callahan will deny that opportunity. The leadoff hitter with her 2nd hit of the game, 2 for 3. And James, I was going to say it's that she was an important out because Neves, Edwards, and Maslin are lurking, and now just 1 out. In all likelihood, she's going to have to face Montana Edwards with some runners on base.
Well, they pulled off a great double play to end the last inning. They'll be hoping for some more heroics like that this inning, but with Neves seeing the ball pretty well, seen a lot of pitches in this game, a strikeout and a walk. Then Edwards, who balls come off the bat pretty well both times for her.
Strikeout, a walk, and a run scored for Neves, and a nifty defensive play that took a run off the board for West Torrens. Well, Neves has ticked her box of saying, yep, impact in game number 1, sure thing. Neves then pokes one out to the outfield. It's going to score a run. Neves will hustle for 2. It's an RBI for Neves.
Great shot from Neves up the middle, and just as I started to count the hits for Port Adelaide, another one just rattles off the middle of the bat. Marchek has to go to the backhand side, gets it in quick smart to reduce the damage. But the runners advance from 1st and 2nd to home and 3rd. She'll stand up at 2, and 2 runners in scoring position for Edwards.
5 different players have hits. 8 different players have reached base for Port Adelaide today.
Yeah, 6 hits, 3 walks. Port Adelaide look the goods this season. Don't know if there is a plan for West Torrens. I can see that their bench includes Jess Ryder.
She can pitch. Montana Edwards, though, up to bat. It's a 4-1 game now. These next 2 batters, Edwards and Maslin, massive for West Torrens to get out just to keep themselves in this game.
Well, don't think passing up Edwards is an option here, noting that Maslin is next up to bat. But with that triple she hit her last at bat, you'd be pitching careful.
Grounded. Kaesler scoops, fires across the diamond, holds the runner. That's a nice defensive play from Lana Kaesler.
Yeah, big play from Kaesler. She took it on the 2nd bounce and fires it across to Baskai. She knew that the threat was there at 3rd base, and that one slight hesitation from Callahan kept her there and close by. She stays at 2, and we've seen our first Lee Hull intentional walk for the season, and it's the home run hitter, Jess Maslin.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was for West Torrens. They probably should have done that. I know hindsight's 2020. The last time they had the opportunity to walk Maslin, they didn't. She hit a home run, made it a 3-1 game. It's now 4-1, but the bases are loaded for McKenna Smith, and as much as I would have loved to see Maslin swing it, that was the right call.
That's the percentage play. You've got McKenna Smith coming up to bat, who reached on an error her first time off bat and then struck out her 2nd time at bat. So still relative unloan, but it's her 3rd plate appearance for the club, and they're rolling at the moment. Momentum does a lot for a batter's confidence, and particularly with loaded bases and you're up by 3 runs. She's got a free swing at it.
I mean, one of the guarantees of a Premier League season, a CMAX Premier League season, is a Jess Maslin home run. It's a matter of when and not if with Maslin. Happens every year. I didn't think it would happen in her 2nd at-bat of the season, but here we are. But yeah, great opportunity for McKenna Smith. She's reached on an error. She struck out. She has a chance to almost put this game out of reach with that right hit.
Yeah, Yeah, well, I think with all the departures from Port Adelaide this year, I mean, some exciting arrivals as well, but the departures for Port Adelaide, you actually see how important Maslin is to that lineup, and she proves her worth today.
Off to right field, right into the glove of Jackie Beal, so it takes one pitch for West Torrens to get out of danger. They loaded the bases. Honestly, it could have been worse. They only allow the one run, and I know we're getting late in the game, but this West Torrens offense has the ability to turn it on like that, and they'll still have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, they're being outplayed here by Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide had left the bases loaded. They had a runner on base in the first inning, bases loaded in the second inning, scored 3 and left a runner on base in the third, and left the bases loaded in the fourth. So they've had plenty of opportunities. So offensively, Port Adelaide winning this game. Now offensively, West Torrens, they get their opportunity. They'll go round to the top of the order again in batter number 2. And Bill had a nice piece of the ball. So they really need to make something work here in their third time up at bat.
A big pump-up talk from the coaching staff down the right field line. So, I mean, it's a great game. West Torrens lucky to be in it. We know that Lee would have probably loved to be calling this one at all. Great to see his transition, though, James. I loved calling games with them for the last 8 years to turning into the voice of softball, though, beyond what this commentary was.
Oh, for years before Spacequake Sports, you couldn't get him away from a mic. I remember his good friend Dick Coombe once saying, you could invite Lee to anything and he'd turn up. He'd be at the opening of a birthday card, he'd say. But on the mic, he did a lot of MC work at opening and closing ceremonies for national championships. We used to do a Friday night function as well. The awards night, of course.
Jackie Beal up to bat.
And then game commentary as well, so ground announcing.
Yep.
So he would call, next batter up is number 41, Jackie Beal. And so he was a natural and obvious first choice to join our call team on Spacequake Sports.
Yeah, I remember that. I called the first game I called with Lee was on the back field on Diamond 2.
Yeah. Little did any of us know how big this initiative would become.
Yeah, it was sort of an innocent little venture where, you know, I had some experience with it, and you just sort of said, well, this is Lee. He's seen a lot of things, so just go have fun. And we did have fun.
He had seen a lot of things. We used to joke that he was around when Adam was a boy.
He invented the game.
Yeah, yeah. And, gee, didn't he become a star of the screen, I guess you could say, or behind the screen at least. He very well known. I'll tell you a story in a moment.
Good at bat here from Beal just to hang in.
Last week at the Masters Games, a player from Orange came along to the bar and was talking to our man Anthony Weatherstone and suggesting that her grandson always tunes into the live streams, loves the guy with the cheeky one-liners.
Well, so that's not me.
He's a hero to some.
It's not you, so.
Well, I was kind. He said the old guy with the cheeky comments.
Swing and a miss from Jackie Beal. Angler continues to hum along. 7 strikeouts for her, but now's the tricky part of the lineup. Harris has already been on twice. Hood's had a base hit. She's got an RBI. Kaesler's coming up. This is going to be the last crack that these 3 batters have, and showing her intent right away is Jordan Harris.
Yeah, aggressive after that first one. It looked like it was on the letters, but she took the opportunity to drive it opposite field, but she'll be able to reset, see another pitch. They really need something from this top half of the lineup as time is ticking away. No new innings with less than 5 minutes to go, but we've finished the inning that we start.
Wow. Bat speed looking okay for Harris.
Seeing it well, pulls this one foul. One's gone to the right, one's gone to the left.
Usually a good sign for a hitter if they're able to spray it in a couple different directions. See if she can nail that timing and square one up.
Well, ahead of the count, Engler is in the position she wants to be and hits that outside edge. So plate umpire McDonald rings up Lambert and strikeout number 8 for Engler.
Sign of a great pitcher, isn't it? You know, Harris sees the ball really well on the first 2 pitches. They go down, unfortunately, as strikes. It still goes down as a strike. Doesn't matter how hard you hit them. And then just finessing a ball in the corner of that zone is Liz Engler. 8 strikeouts on her CMAX Premier League season debut here in 2023-24. Amber Hood up to bat. And that just changes the complexion of the inning, knowing that Lana Kaesler is not going to come to bat as the tying run when she comes up for her, what is likely her final at-bat of the game.
Well, it could go 2 ways here for West Torrens, couldn't it? They either have another 2-out rally, or if they get a 3rd out here, they've got to have a short, sharp defensive inning to get another go at it, whereas Port Adelaide will be in no hurry from here to extend this game any longer than it needs to go. In control here, 4-1 up.
Yeah, on that alarm clock set 4:25 on your dials is that time approximately. And the expression on Hood says it all. I can't wait to look at the replay on the CMAX replay.
Yep, strikes out the side here, Engler. It's that 2-strikeout change-up that Harris got as well. It's the top of the zone.
She's been buckling people. Well, Engler actually at the start of the game was attacking low, wasn't she? She was using that drop ball, and batters were chasing. They were swinging a lot through. Now she's getting batters looking by attacking the upper part of the zone. Engler was dancing down. She's going up. It's been a very impressive performance from Liz Engler.
Yeah, Engler just picking up where Yo Grauer left off, and she 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. Will be leading the league in strikeouts for this time of the season, but won't take too many games for other pitchers to catch up, I think, but not if she keeps on a roll like this, throwing it at 9 strikeouts an inning.
Well, James, you talked earlier in the broadcast about who you thought maybe it was a little more challenging for hitters at the start of a season because, you know, they haven't got their feel, their timing. Pitchers, they can just step in the circle, throw. It's all similar for them. Now, the other added wild card here is none of these South Australian batters have really faced Liz Engler much at all. She pitched maybe, an inning or 2 when she was here in her first stint, and that was 2 years ago. So at least Port Adelaide and a lot of the players have grown up facing Harper Bridley, and maybe they haven't faced her in 5 or 6 months, but they at least know the kind of stuff that she has, whereas still very much learning who Liz Engler is from an offensive perspective.
Well, Port were rolling with Charlotte Dobrozchek as well when Engler came for the back half of that season a couple of years ago, and of course Yo Grau is the starting pitcher in anyone's lineup when she's in town. So yeah, so she's filling some big shoes, and these Premier League teams will be seeing her for the first time.
Grauer will be making, she'll be pitching today.
Is she here?
She apparently is here, yeah. Starting today for Glenelg. They've got an import coming in.
Are they playing right now? Is the game happening as we speak, or are they playing at 5?
On the backfield? I'm not too sure, but I know they're not playing on this field. Actually, it might be the 3 o'clock game. We can see if we can get an update. But that was the mail I got from Gary Brinkworth. Is a nice charging play from Harris across the diamond, 1 down. And Brinkworths are usually fairly reliable. But he said, yeah, Yo this weekend on Saturday, she'll come in, she'll pitch, she'll play on Saturdays, and they've got an import coming in next week.
Catcher?
A catcher,
utility? Yeah, because of course they've got Jade Peterson.
Yeah. And Jade would be in the batting lineup today, by all reports.
Well, she played the Australian Masters games during the week, so she's got some games under her belt, whereas the rest of the team probably don't.
That's a nice little Saturday-Wednesday combo, though, going from Grauer to Peterson. It's a proven combination that's won before.
Oh.
Here's Engler, who is, for my marks, I know Maslin's hit that home run, but Engler's 9 strikeouts, and she's been clutch in the circle, only allowed a couple hits. Doubleheader today, though, on Space Quake Sports, James.
Yep, get to that in a moment. Ground ball to shortstop. Harris, 2 plays in a row. She has to come and get it. keeps it tidy here for 2 up and 2 down. And well, thanks to CMAX Clinical Research, we go around the grounds. Glenelg are playing Walkerville on the backfield at the moment, so it is 1-1 at the top of the 5th.
Is Chelsea Martinez pitching for Walkerville?
I'll let you look at the.
I'll do the around the grounds here.
The lineups, but yeah, double header on Spacequake Sports today in the season opener. We're going to see Sturt versus Seacombe in the 5 o'clock time slot. You're going to stick around and help out with the commentary.
I can do that. I can manage that. Yeah, it's a 1-1 game in the 5th inning. The only hit of the game for Glenelg has been from Tate Nicholson.
Who's throwing for Walkerville, did you say?
Throwing for Walkerville is Chelsea Martinez. 5 innings, 98 pitches, 1 hit so far. She's allowed the 1 run. How many hits do you think Walkerville have in the game with Yo Grauer pitching? It's a 1-1 game.
Well, not many.
The answer would be 0, so I'm not too sure how they scored the run.
So both teams have scored a run and there's been 1 hit in the game.
Yeah, correct.
Backhand play for Baskai. She's got to flip it over to Burridge, who takes it barehand, but Davis beats it out for her 3rd base on base for the game.
What a great game from Chloe Davis, but a nice little barehanded play as well from Burridge. Yep, safe.
You giving that an infield single?
I don't know. I think an error to right in the E3.
Tough on Baskai, but she's using that fielder's glove rather than a mitt. Davis is on base with 2 out in an inning that Port Adelaide failed to get their lead-off on for the first time in this season.
It's going to eat away some minutes as well. Now, Glenelg they were, especially in the second half of the year, they were competitive in their games. I know they didn't win probably as many as they'd like. Their downfall was sort of inconsistencies in the field, and they're hoping that bringing over someone like Yo Grauer might help clean that up a little bit. Hard to lose, though, when your pitcher doesn't allow a hit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Grauer here in the top of the bottom of the 5th has reached. No, she was forced out. It was Courtney Shepherd has reached on a walk.
Good pitching battle on the back diamond. We're here, though, as Zoe Thompson. If she can chew up 3 minutes somehow in this at-bat, the game could be over. Important here for Harper Bridley just to throw some strikes, get the ball into play at least to give her batting lineup one last swing at it to come back in the game to, at the very least, try to tie.
Yep, they need this out right now. Otherwise, if Port Adelaide coaching staff want to ring a change, maybe slow the pace of the game down, now's the time to do it.
3-1 count, and it is a big pitch. Can't afford to put Zoe Thompson on. Swing and a miss. That's big. Full count, and yep, we are up against the time. 4:23 right now. No new innings after 85 minutes.
Well, Harper's in no hurry. She's gone back off the plate, same routine. 3-2 count has to be this pitch. Can't afford a foul ball, otherwise umpire might call short of time here.
And a big strikeout from Harper Bridley. It keeps her team in it with a chance. Umpire checking the watch, but you know what? It's going to be fine, I think.
Oh, I've got 7 minutes to go on my watch. So that means we go again.
Yeah, 4:25. No new innings after 4:25, right?
Right.
So we have lots of time. So we have 1 minute. They got in 1 minute before the buzzer.
And that was Harper Bridley's 6th strikeout. That was Harper Bridley's 6th strikeout that did it. Full count with a runner on first. So a little bit of pressure on the young pitcher, but she was steadfast. She found the spot. The strikeout was called, and we will see a 5th and final inning.
Yeah, this will be the final 6th inning.
6th and final inning.
And this will be the final inning. And if, I mean, this is the top of the 6th. If West Torrens don't score here, there's no way they can win this game.
And the game will end So they need 3 runs to keep it going for a tie, 4 to take the lead and give Port Adelaide a target.
But they've got to solve the riddle of Liz Engler, who has struck out the side on 2 different occasions today. She did it in the 2nd, she did it in the 5th. The last one was impressive. Attacked the zone low, early goings, high in the later stages. And she got Beal, Harris, and Hood down, who are not easy strikeouts either. And she throws that first pitch strike. She's been good at that today.
Yeah, Engler, I said it earlier in the game, perhaps the change of tactic for West Torrens is to get after it earlier in the count. That way you're not having to guess when that change-up is coming. It's buckled a lot of their batters today, and a bunch of her strikeouts have come looking as well from the West Torrens hitters.
Pitch up high.
Thanks again to CMAX Clinical Research for being the broadcast partner for the 23-24 season. And I don't know if you've been counting, Eric, it's the 80th year, the 80th season for softball in South Australia.
It's a long time. Anything special planned in year number 80?
Some big plans already taken place. Anthony Weatherstone, who is another close friend of ours that we'll be hoping is okay. A little health issue. I'm hoping just a hiccup earlier in the day. But yeah, there's some big announcements that he's been behind this year in the 80th season, including the renaming of the Premiership Shield. And some other awards have had some names go to it as well. So just the start of the celebrations of the 80th season.
How good's the vibe over at the bar right now? And just in general, the setup, the great work and community spirit to set up an improved experience for everybody that comes down here this year.
Yeah, again, thanks to Anthony and his team. For those that don't know, Anthony was named the Softball SA Volunteer of the Year last season, and not anything to do with his work as a board director, but everything that he does behind the scenes, which not many people will see. But yeah, the bar's one of those areas that he's made a lot more enjoyable, more sociable, and he's done a great job there. Hey, the 10th strikeout of the game for Engler was a change-up again on Kaiser, and she watched that 3rd strike.
If you have a pitcher like this humming along throughout the year, it's going to be hard to lose a game for Port Adelaide. They've had some nice defense as well. You think back to when it was a 3-1 game and Jess Neves had to range over from short, throw a player out. But the big difference was that 3rd inning where Montana Edwards had a triple, and then Jess Maslin had the 2-run home run to put their team up 3-1. They did add another run, but 4 unanswered for Port Adelaide. They've had 8 different players reach base. It's been pressure all afternoon on the base pass, where Liz Engler has kept things under control in the circle, 10 strikeouts, and West Torrens need to show some signs of life. Otherwise, their ball game will be coming to an end in just a couple minutes.
Well, time is against the game on Diamond 2, and the first result of the season's a tie.
Nobody's won.
A 1-all draw between Glenelg and Walkerville. And Port Adelaide just 2 outs away from registering the first victory of the 23-24 CMAX Premier League season. Engler in full control, 10 strikeouts.
Make it 11. Liz Engler has struck out the last 5 batters she's faced. She is grooving.
She just found another gear late in this game. I mentioned she's probably had the best off-season or pre-season of anyone on this diamond playing through Europe. So all that experience would be helping the Magpies out right now.
I could be wrong, but like I don't think West Torrens is a team that strikes out a lot in general.
Yeah, good point. I got no stats to go by today. I didn't bring a stat sheet with me today.
But the eye test in the last couple of years certainly suggests that.
Absolutely.
Emma Burridge, the last hope. Got to extend the game.
Port Adelaide looking for some grand final revenge from last year.
Well, a win here would catapult them to the very early top of the table.
Well, I think
two teams with a point.
I think in the same game last year, it was West Torrens that beat Port Adelaide in the opening game of the year.
Swing and a miss. 2 strikes. Can she finish the game with a dozen strikeouts and sit down the last 6? Up the middle. Scooped up by Neves. Ball game over. A wonderful performance from Liz Engler in the circle. Some big bats when it mattered from Port Adelaide. Pressure throughout the afternoon. And in the commemoration game for Lee Hull, it's his longtime club that comes up winners in game number 1.
Yeah, one of his clubs, and a great play there from Neves, firing it across on the CMAX replay for the final out of the game. What a complete performance from Port Adelaide. Yeah, sure, 11 strikeouts from Engler in the 6 innings. But as you mentioned, there was a bunch of players that had hits in the game, from Edwards, the bomb from Jess Maslin, 2-hit ball game for Callahan, as well as important on bases from Chloe Davis, the youngster, batting 8 and playing right field. She got a walk, a single, and reached on an error for her 3 plate appearances. Here's some of the highlights of the game on screen. There's a hit from Hood, and the first run of the ball game was West Torrens with Harris sliding in, but it was all Port Adelaide after that.
Yeah, it was the big inning that came right after this. And I mean, we did get to see some signs of life, though, from West Torrens, and you saw how dangerous Jordan Harris continues to be. This was her scoring all the way from first on a ball that was hit to the shallow outfield. So Harris, yeah, she's hasn't really changed her tune from other seasons at all. But yeah, it was Engler that has been tremendous. She got soft contact when she needed it the most. She got strikeouts, and she was able to neutralize the threat. But I think we'll see the highlights here that everyone wants to see if you missed it. Was that Montana Edwards going bang. Look at that opposite field as well. That's a great sign from a hitter early season.
Yeah, if you want to show the signs of what a good batter is, it's their ability to be able to hit all parts of the diamond. Edwards driving one opposite field, an RBI to tie the game, and then she was the go-ahead run on the 2-run shot from Jess Maslin. We'll see that up next.
Yeah, Jess Maslin was the batter that followed. She had a runner on third. There was an opportunity here for West Torrens to pass her up and put her on first base and try to flirt with the bottom of the lineup rather than contend with the perennial powerhouse bat of Jess Maslin. And hindsight is 20/20 because that ball was rocketed straight away center field and really was the difference-making moment in this game.
Yeah, Maslin, the pitch beforehand, fouled one off on a full count that sort of, she just tipped it a little bit and she was showing her intent. She's not holding anything back here in the 23-24 season, and got one in her wheelhouse and drove it deep center field.
Well, that will do it for game number 1. We're going to step aside and get ready for game number 2 of the day, Sturt versus Seacombe. James, thanks for joining me. It was great to chat about a dear friend. Anything you'd like to say about the great Lee Hull before we sign off?
Well, just quickly, thanks to CMAX Clinical Research for being a partner once again this season. MC Sportswear once again, and Spacequake Sports for coming on for an 8th season. Our man Lee Hull probably would have tipped Port Adelaide, and he would have said repeat of earlier message a half a dozen times. But yeah, we're going to miss the big guy, and we don't know any details of a funeral yet, but I'm sure we'll make something public once we know. Our thoughts with the Hull family. You mentioned before Sophie, Hannah, and Josh, and all his grandkids. So he'll be missed by the Spacequake Sports crew as well, getting a nod from producer Brandon. We know that David was devastated with the news as well. So we're thinking of you. We love you, Lee.